Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another rant. It was supposed to be another Dungeons and Dragons character design, but something happened where it made me make this video instead. As you can tell in the majority of my videos, I draw a lot of characters, and most of them are all full bodies for the sake of pushing myself to do more than just portraits. Back then, all I've ever done were portraits because it was easier to do and it didn't take too much time, and drawing full bodies it felt like it takes forever, especially when it comes to like the arms and the legs. I hated it back then. But as I grew older and decided to take some proper online courses, I started to enjoy full body drawings a lot more. I felt like I could show off my character drawings more with some dynamics to it, or just seeing the entirety of the character. Whereas portraits can sometimes be pretty boring unless you add some flair to it to make it more interesting. But I still like to draw them nevertheless. But the reason why I'm saying all this is because during the process of me learning something new, like full body anatomy, I experienced what a lot of artists feel. Overthinking and constantly having to make sure that every detail is done perfectly, basically perfectionism, which leads me to feeling extremely burnt out. The drawing that I'm doing in the background is an old sketch that I found in my files back when I wanted to do something different than I do now. Originally, I wanted to talk about mythologies, fairy tales like Brothers Grimm and Charles Perrault, and yokais, Japanese demons and spirits. And in the background of my videos, or at least those ideas I had in mind, I would do drawings based off those. The one that I'm showing now is a drawing of Lancelot and Queen Guinevere's affair from the King Arthur mythology. This one was definitely something that I wasn't used to because it's more of an illustration, and it feels kind of more telling of a story with two people, specifically Lancelot and Queen Guinevere, and how they just fell in love, even though Queen Guinevere is King Arthur's wife, and Lancelot, being one of King Arthur's closest knights. But anyways, if this is something you guys find interesting and want me to make videos about, like these topics, like mythologies, fairy tales, and all that, do let me know down in the comments. I love learning and talking about these mythologies and fairy tales and yokais, so I thought maybe in the future it would be pretty fun to make videos about it, but it's really up to you guys. Anyways, back to the topic. I struggled with perfectionism and overthinking for a very long time, only because it's something that I've developed through how I was raised and just, I guess, growing up. I have an older sister who is also a pretty damn good artist, and when I was a kid, I always looked up to her. I wanted to draw just as good as her, so I started drawing nonstop till I became just as good as her. And I guess just to admit this part, there was also that sense of jealousy because my parents would always praise her for being so talented, and I wanted to experience that myself. Despite all of that, I remembered feeling pretty good about my drawings, and I had so much fun being creative. And wow, I just miss those times where you didn't have to worry about a lot of things and just be carefree. Just being a kid and not having to worry about adult things, because adult things sucks. But growing up, it was only a matter of time until I stumbled upon the internet. And I remembered I watched a lot of speedpaint videos and just being in I was in awe because of these talented artists. Do you guys remember DeviantArt before it became like a dumpster fire of AI schlop? To no surprise, I did create my own account there, but I haven't posted my art just yet. I perused the website for the most part, and I ended up finding a lot of inspiring artists, like Sakimi-chan. At the time, before she delved into her current art style, I can't remember a lot of the artists that I found, but I definitely remember her because she was the artist I looked up to the most. I had such a huge desire to be just like her, and so I just kept drawing and drawing until I just draw just like her. Basically, the same way that I felt with my older sister, where I wanted to draw just like her. And I believe this is where I start to realize how much of my perfectionism truly started to shine and hurt me. You see, I never really got proper lessons on how to draw characters or just drawing in general. Sure, I took art classes throughout elementary, middle school, and high school, hell, even college. But I never really learned anything properly because the stuff that I wanted to do, which was character design, these classes never covered them. The teachers and professors only taught about like the fundamentals, which were always the same lessons every freaking year. Not saying it was a bad thing. I understand why those lessons are being reused every year because they're really important. It's the basics of the basics, and that's how you grow into experienced artists. But the thing is, I wanted to learn how to draw characters. And on top of that, I didn't have the greatest attention span. In fact, I'd always like daydream a lot of the times whenever I hear like lectures and lessons, and I was just super tired because I would always go to bed late and waking up very early for school. So as a result, I didn't retain proper knowledge on art, and I just sort of worked with what I got. And I think that's like one of my biggest regrets as a like younger me. I should have paid attention a bit more and really just try to properly learn the fundamentals and the basics because I'm 26 years old and I'm still learning how fundamentals work, like color theory, and then also like shading, proper lighting, like all these things that I feel like were lessons that I've learned, I should have learned back in high school, middle school. I just didn't really learn properly, which is such a bummer, but here I am, you know, at least I'm learning. I had this weird thought because I believed as an artist that I should already know how to draw these certain subjects, which is completely untrue, but that was what I had in mind, or that was my thought process. And so when I started to draw something out of my comfort zone, I started to feel extremely frustrated with myself. Usually when I was younger, probably like elementary school and a bit of a middle school, probably like sixth grade, I'd always, in my sketchbooks, I would always have like finishing artworks. Like every page, it would be just completed drawings. As a teenager, however, I've noticed, looking back at my old sketchbooks, that I would only have sketches and unfinished works because I was just so unhappy with my art. For example, I would try to draw a human arm to a pose that I wasn't familiar with at the time, and whenever it's not quote-unquote perfect, I would erase and try again. I'd repeat this cycle over and over until I either threw the pencil away, crumble up the sketch, or I just left it alone. I would always have references in front of me, usually artworks from other artists, which I don't recommend doing. Just find like actual pictures, like photography pictures, rather than artworks, because I think that would actually discourage you on how you can properly learn anatomy or objects of that kind. Anyways, because I would have artworks from other artists as my reference, I would try to mimic how they drew the anatomy instead of like actually, learning. Like it's more so like I was trying to copy, basically. Just not tracing, but copying. Knowing me, whenever I think deeply about something, I tend to get lost or just simply overthink. Sometimes the answers that I'm looking for is right there in my face, but because I was trying so hard to figure this shit out, I end up not seeing it at all. So I always go back to drawings that I was just comfortable with, rather than just going outside the box and try something new. It's fine to draw what you are most confident in and most comfortable. There's really nothing wrong with it. However, if you're like me, and that's all you ever done, like never really reaching to improve at the time, you're not really growing as an artist. And thinking back at it, I think that's what really killed my passion for art, unfortunately. Around junior year in high school, I remember this feeling vividly. I would always chop it down to just senioritis, which means you're just finished with high school even though you have like a year to go till you graduate. Kind of like that feeling where you're just over it. But if I'm really honest with myself, I was definitely super burnt out with my art. In my art class, I didn't even bother to put effort into my work. I mean, I would always get like grades of 90 plus, so I wasn't failing the class. I just didn't see the point anymore. I forgot to mention this, and I'll go over it briefly. Around this time, I started posting my art online, mostly DeviantArt and Instagram. But what got me to stop for a long period of time, and when I mean long period of time, I mean like years, was my lack of likes and comments that I received for my art. I had a very depressing thought that my art wasn't good enough like these big artists, so I just didn't get the recognition that I wanted. Like I said, I won't go into too much detail. This might as well just be a separate video on its own, like about social media and how it can really kill artists' confidence and passion for art and just losing the whole point of it. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna be a separate video. I started to compare myself to these other artists, and that really tore me down because like I began to think that I suck at drawing. Like art, I'm not good at it. And with that sort of mentality, it led me to experience major burnout. I was depressed, and I just have constant art blocks. I remember drawing time to time, but during the periods between me drawing, it would be like, it felt like an eternity until I finally, draw something else, but then it'll only be like a matter of a day or like a matter of a couple of hours, and then I'm just stuck to just doing nothing because my passion wasn't there anymore. And looking back at it, it just made me very sad, like to the point, I'm trying not to get emotional, trying to cry about it, but it really sucked that younger me had to go through that terrible feeling of not feeling good enough, and not being talented enough like the people I see online, and it hurts. I still feel that way today, but it's just not as potent as I was back then. And of course, I was a teenager, so hormones were just flaring left and right, so I was just feeling all sorts of emotions, but it just didn't help with my case, or it didn't help at the time. Many of us artists will experience these feelings sometimes in our lives, or doing our art career, or whatever creative career you guys are doing. And I think, this is my personal opinion, I think that beginners will be the ones who will experience it the worst, especially nowadays with like social media being on the rise, and so you notice a lot of hate and a lot of comparing, whether it be themselves or from other people, which is just horrible to see other people compare your work to another person's work when 2 and 2 can't even be on the same coin. Like, they're two different works, but for some reason they like to compare them and say like, this one is better than this one, so you should do this. So it's like, a lot of beginner artists specifically will look at these other amazing talents, who, by the way, like, the reason why these talented artists got to where they were is because they took a lot of hard work and practice. But to these beginner artists, they will compare themselves, which is something you should never do to yourselves. And I'm guilty of it. As I say multiple times in this video, I see many talented artists who are just so much better than me on social media, and I just can't help but compare my skills to theirs, and I just get sad to the point where I will never be like them, and it sucks. It really sucks. And I think that with this sort of mentality, we give ourselves such high expectations that discourages us, you know, because I feel like this high expectations is just unreasonable, and just I'm gonna say I don't want to say delusional, but it's around that area where it's just unreachable. And with that sort of mentality, it ruins passion for what you really enjoy. And I believe that's where we need to look out for. Regardless of what skill level you are on, we should always lower our expectations and just be kinder to ourselves, and just understand that we have our own pace with learning. We shouldn't expect to master, for example, drawing hands within a month. I mean, there was a reason why I avoided drawing hands in the first place. That shit's hard. And even to this day, I'm still struggling to draw that part of the anatomy. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, as long as I'm taking the necessary steps to improve my skills, I should be proud of myself for even trying. And you guys should too. Bit of exclaimer, this is where I'm going off from my script because I feel like I just need to just say it, and instead of just writing it down, because, you know, At least from my experience, I think comparing yourself to others is probably one of the causes for having perfectionism and just overthinking, because you view this person, like say your idol, and they are perfect in every way through your perspective. And so when you compare them to yourselves, you not only are you knocking yourself down like significantly, but you then try to be like them, be perfect. And because you are so like obsessed with trying to be perfect, that the answers of being like them are just plain and simple. And in this instance with art, yes, you see like these amazing, dynamic, and beautiful, colorful artworks. You're just thinking to yourself, like, how in the world did they get to this point? Like, what can I do to be like them? And the simple is just learning the fundamentals, finding the proper lessons with the art skills, and just practice. I know that me just saying practice is just simple as that, because a lot of times when artists say practice, you just get kind of lost to like, what am I supposed to practice? You know, like, what do I need to draw more? What do I need to draw this and whatnot? And it's just like, that's where like you have to do research. And that's how I was able to discover Mark Brunette's online school for like character designing or just game art or any of the sort, just art in general. And I have my husband to thank that, because he found Mark Brunette while he was browsing the internet, or YouTube specifically, and he came across him, and he introduced me to Mark Brunette's YouTube channel. And when I found out that he has an online course, at first very skeptical when it came to finding out about his online courses, because I sort of like thought back in high school and middle school where I didn't really learn anything, and I feel like I didn't improve anything from them. And so I was like, yeah, I don't think this online course is for me. So it took me a while to finally attend, or like just be a student of his on his online course, and it worked. Like, easy to say, it worked. Because Mark Brunette used to be a concept artist or a character designer in Blizzard company, he definitely has more experience and more knowledge to give. And so at that time, you also have to go through this in a very specific mentality. Like, if you're dead set on wanting to improve and be a better artist, then I think this art course will definitely work for you. But if you're still like not in it, like you're just like still iffy, or you're just, I guess, nonchalant, or you just don't give a shit, then of course this art course is not going to work, obviously. But I was in a downward spiral with my art because I want art to be my career. I want it to be my goal. And so I decided to go through this art course, this art classes, this art school with that mentality of I want to be better, I want to improve. It worked. And it feels like I'm advertising for his school, but honestly, like, you guys should really check it out. He always has like sales going on with his art school, and so if you ever have like financial issues, you can use that advantage of his sales and just, attend, because he helped me so much that I have him to thank. But most of all, like, I thank my husband, who was there for me whenever I have those my downward spirals of like not feeling good about myself, not feeling good about my art, and feeling like I want to give up. But he was always there to bring me back up. Sorry for getting very emotional. But perfectionism, overthinking, and just complete burnout, it will happen. It's something that us artists will never escape, because like, we are constantly creating something and striving to push ourselves to become better, that a lot of times you will feel burnout, you feel like exhausted, and during those times of burnout, like, you gotta just give yourself a break. Sometimes taking a break, whether it be for like a day or just a couple of hours, especially if you've done art or drew for like hours on end, you should always give yourself some space to just relax and just distract yourself. And that way, when you come back, your mind is refreshed, your mind is clear, and you can just go back in with a better mindset. And as far as like perfectionism and overthinking, like I said, like, you gotta set your goals in a manner of reasonable expectations. Like, don't be a master within a day. That's impossible. Nobody's a master within a day. Unless you put yourself in torturous routine where every hour, every minute, every second, you're constantly like doing shit, practicing and learning, which can really ruin your health. So that's why nobody does it. Nobody does that, because you're just ruining your body in the process of being a quote-unquote master. So I think like setting up goals and taking the time to really understand yourself and learning your pace when it comes to learning art. So back in the beginning, I said that the original idea that I had in mind before I decided to do this rant was the reason why I decided to do this in the first place, was because I was going to draw a male character, and I don't draw male characters that often, and I only draw women, and so I feel more confident and more comfortable drawing women. But when it came to male anatomy, that's the reason why I was getting frustrated with myself. I expected myself to know how to draw men for whatever reason, even though I've only drawn men like twice, and for as far as I can remember, I expected myself to know, but I had to take a step back and just really look at like the bigger picture and realize I don't draw men. On top of that, when I was trying to find references for my male drawing, I was just like spending so much time looking instead of like actually learning how to draw fucking male anatomy. Sorry for my French, but I definitely was feeling burnt out. And then when that happened, and on top of that, I was trying to get something out there because like I have to be consistent with my uploading, and recently I have not been doing that, only because of obviously burnt out. And so when that happened, that, like I said in the beginning, that's why I wanted to make this video, because I feel like I wanted to just express that to the artists out there who experience these feelings. You're not the only one. It's very common, and it happens to a lot of us, whether it be art or anything that's outside of like entertainment. Like, it can also be accounting, it can be engineering. Like, it will happen to any of us, and a lot of times we just need time to really breathe and just have time to relax and have a clear mindset, so that way when you finally get back into it, you will feel better. So I guess to just wrap things up now and not make this video too long, and again, I'm sorry if this rant video is kind of all over the place. That's the thing with this. Usually I would have like a proper script for all of this, but I just go with whatever was on my mind and just write it down, and yeah. But anyways, to wrap it up, set yourself reasonable expectations. Give yourself goals and give yourself some patience. It's easier said than done, but I promise you, if you be kinder to yourself and just understand that each artist is special, each artist is different, and that's the beauty of art, because there's so many styles, so many colors, so there's a variety in art, and that's what makes it beautiful, and that's what makes it fun and interesting. And so don't expect yourself to be exactly like your idol or exactly like the artist you look up to. You can use them as a motivation, but don't try to be like them. Have them be the reason to become your goal. Become the artist that you want to be and not what people expect you to be is another thing. You are you, and you know yourself better than anyone. And so please be kind, be patient. I know you will reach that goal, whether it be years from now or months. As long as you're set on accomplishing that, I promise you it will all be worth it. I'm still thriving to reach that goal, because I know I can do better. I know I can be more. And even though I am basically just a ordinary gal on the internet that's just making character design videos because it's fun. Take it as somebody who's just ordinary. Like, you're not alone. We all experience these perfectionism and overthinking and burnt out many times. I feel like I'm just repeating myself now, but just be kind. Be nice to yourself. Give yourself some space and just take your time. And because the worst thing you can do is destroy your passion and never do art again, or never do the things you want to do, because your passion, the joy that you have in this thing that you love so much, to just be gone. That's my message to you all. And with that, this is where I'm going to end the video. I hope you guys enjoy listening to me rant about this and becoming emotional. Like, I almost cried, which I didn't want to. Not yet, anyway. And if you guys were watching the speed paint, I'm gonna, just to get my thoughts and my comments on the drawing that I did, I am not too happy with it. I feel like I could have done better, but again, if I wanted to, I can redraw it and it can be better, or it could be worse. I don't know, but either way, like, I still think I did a pretty good job. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and if you guys enjoyed this video, hope you like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you experience these things as well. And then you can also like share like how do you overcome these feelings and emotions, and how long did it take you to finally regain that passion for what you love. Like, I would love to hear more about that. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hope to see you in the next video, where it's going to be a lot more fun and going to be D&D, or it could be something else, who knows. But anyways, bye bye.